Good evening, darts fans, and welcome to the Online Darts Live League. Live on Sporty Stuff TV this evening. Friday night is good for flighting, so let's get cracking with some action in the next few moments. But first, we're going to take a very short look into how things have transpired over the course of this week. We have had a Group A on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, and from that group, as you can see, Martin Adams topped that group with 22 points. This is the way that things break down. James Richardson and Richie Burnett, by virtue of their second and third place finishes, did graduate to Group B, which is tonight, but 4th, 5th and 6th, with Robson, Wilson and Cullerton, they went through to Group C. It was a very, very competitive group right there, especially in the top half, with only 4 points separating Adams from Burnett. But it is Adams who made his way through to the finals. As far as Group C is concerned, this is how it finished up earlier today. 2 group days, 10 matches each, and we saw Niall Cullerton winning the very last match of the group in a shootout with Stu Wilson, and Gary Robson won his last match against Corinne Hammond to book his place through to the finals by getting second spot. Prakash Jiwa, he was the one who lost out on leg difference, and he lost his last game and just lost out on a perfect 10 points for Friday. Very, very close for him, but it is Cullerton, Robson and Adams through to the finals so far. As far as the other spots are concerned, we are going to turn our attention to Group B. Let's have a look at how things are standing right now, because Scott Marsh, as you can see, on 8 points from 8 from last night. He's in pole position, closely followed by James Richardson, Nick Fullwell, and don't write off Burnett and Rickwood yet. There are plenty of games tonight. There are 4, in fact, for each player. But if you are Scott Marsh, you're sitting pretty at the top, and the 2 at the bottom have got a lot of work to do. Fullwell and, of course, Scott Marsh will get our evening off and running, and Fullwell has the longest shift because he's up against James Richardson in his 4th and final match, around about 20 to 1. It may be a little bit later than that. We hope you can join us for the remainder of our action. James Richardson will start against Richie Burnett, and Robert Rickwood will start, of course, against Scott Marsh. And he has the shortest shift tonight. He started late last night. He will start early tonight, and I think Scott Marsh, based on the way he played yesterday, he's going to book his place pretty quickly. So we're going to take a short break right now, but let's have a little look as to who we're going to see in the first match of the evening. That's coming up in about 60 seconds. It's a golden opportunity for Scott Marsh in this first match of the night. If he can manage to win his 5th straight game, he will have 1 foot in the finals for me. No pun intended, of course, because he has an injured left leg. But it didn't stop him last night. And at this point in our action last night, as we begun, I said, beware the wounded player. I was right. But he has a stiff test against Nick Fullwell. Does the 38-year-old from Orpington, just outside of the M25 in Kent. He's got a bit of an assist there from the referee. I'm sure Nick Fullwell doesn't mind that happening. Big smile on the face of Nick Fullwell, who starts tonight on 4 points. I just wonder if he knows how many points he's going to need to get through in the top 3 tonight.
Nick to throw first. Game on.
So let's get cracking. 2 points for a win. All games best of 7 legs. And let's finalise who's playing in the finals tomorrow night at this very time.
100.
But first and foremost, let's try and figure out this shirt of Nick Fullwell. It's all sorts of colourful.
58.
I don't know whether it's an Aston Villa shirt. I don't know whether it's West Ham. I don't know whether it's a giraffe. I have no idea.
42.
He's definitely keeping me guessing. Marshy, a little bit more understated, you could say. Wearing the grey and blue tonight. But if he continues what he did yesterday,
60.
he will get the points he requires for me. 5 maximums last night. 2 ton plus checkouts, including a very good 160. That came against Robert Rickwood in a 4-0 victory. But a running average of 91.56 and a best performance of just under 99 in a match. It was incredibly impressive at times.
140.
I feel if Scott gets half and half tonight, 2 wins and 2 losses, that will be
95.
enough to book his space in the finals. He will want another perfect night to have the perfect group of 16 points from 16. That will ensure that he's got maximum confidence going into what is looking like a very tough finals group.
41. Nick, you require 164.
Could be first blood Nick Fullwell here. Somehow he finds the gap between that first dart and the treble 20 wire. And Marsh is not out of this first leg yet. I think the switch is the right player there. The 60 is covered.
96.
The 57 is found.
Nick, you require 104.
We did have plenty of ton plus checkouts last night. We had 9 of them. Who's going to provide the 10th? It's not going to be now.
64.
But it could be now.
Scott, you require 106.
Now, which way does he fancy? Is he going to go south here? That leaves 87. And that doesn't.
46.
I think he was caught in 2 minds as to
Nick,
which way to go.
40.
Nick Fullwell doesn't need asking twice.
Game shot.
And he takes tops in 1 for a
Nick
19 dart
Fullwell.
start. That's steady. He will need to improve on that throughout the course of the night, but he finds a nice foundation in his first game.
Second leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
Nick did play in match 1 yesterday as well against a different opponent. And against James Richardson, it went all the way.
180.
First maximum of the evening goes to Scott Marsh. We had 29 180s yesterday.
59.
That's not a bad return. And it was Nick Fullwell who got the most maximums. He had 10. The next challenger in that league table was Richie Burnett with 7.
97.
You do have to admit, though, that yesterday was all about one thing. People finding ridiculous
66.
finishes to end matches. Robert Rickwood, in beating Nick Fullwell 4-3, pulled out a 149 with the very last 3 darts of the match. Richardson, against
41.
Rickwood, pulled out a 170 to finish that match. And just when you think it can't get any better, Nick Fullwell pulls out a 143 against Richie Burnett to win that match, which was the very next match after
83.
James Richardson's 170. And that was after Burnett missed multiple match darts. We'll have some more of that tonight, please.
59.
It's like walking into a restaurant and saying, do you know what? I had the bolognese last night. It was so good, I'll have it again.
96.
Let's see what
Scott,
Scott
you
Marsh can
require
do
124.
in this kind of range. He does have 6 darts for it. That's his ideal first dart.
84.
Nicely up. 177 is the number here.
99.
Well, that'll do. He won't expect to come back.
You require
You just
40.
never know. These players should be sharp after last night's play. That's a nightmare lie.
No score.
And Nick Fullwell has got a bonus opportunity of a 2-0 lead here.
Nick, you require 98.
This is for a break of throw. I fancied he wasn't going to go double-double there.
58.
He strikes me as a more traditional
Scott, you
dart
require
player.
40.
Second down and 40. Fourth down and 20. And he can't find the bed. Is this going to be a
Nick,
different night for Scott
40.
Marsh? He wasn't doing that last night. Double 10. And Nick Fullwell shows him the way to take a 2-0 lead. That was really unexpected. He fancied that Scott Marsh was going to take care of that well before that.
Third leg, it's Nick.
He's not getting a decent start tonight. You sincerely hope that Scott Marsh doesn't think that 8 points is going to be enough to get through, because I feel it might not be. More than half the players in this field will make the finals. Richardson and Burnett have been playing for the last 4 days. Fullwell, Marsh and Rickwood only played last night. So you could say that maybe they are fresher.
180.
That's Nick's first maximum of the night. I would empty my pockets saying that that won't be his last.
100.
Just so happens that all I have in my pockets are keys and a lip balm. No coins, no notes. But I would still bet the lip balm
95.
and the keys on the fact that Nick Fullwell will get more 180s. And Marsh's leg difference is standing at +10, which is
100.
vastly more significant.
Nick, you require
than the others.
141.
But he could be reeled in here with this slow start.
30.
Nick is not having to play well to win this match. He's only had 4 shots at a double. He's hit 2 of them. He's averaging 83, which is dwarfing
Nick,
Scott's average here.
111.
Just more evidence that darts is on the day.
51.
Darts is about replication.
Scott, you require 144.
But today's a different day. It's a different challenge. You might feel very different about your form. This would cheer him up.
Yep. 88.
And in stark contrast to
Nick,
that,
requires 60.
this will make Scott Marsh feel even worse.
Game shot
And
on
Nick
the third
continues
leg.
that
Nick
50%
Fullwell.
prowess on the doubles. A simple conversion of 20, rangefinder and tops. 3-0.
Fourth leg, it's
And you
Scott
think
to throw
that maybe Nick
first.
Fullwell is
Game
going
on.
to canter to victory, but don't forget, for everybody tuning in last night on Sporty Stuff TV, you will have seen Richie Burnett 3-0 up
57.
on Scott Marsh. What did Richie do then? He lost it 4 legs to 3. So Scott has to do that again.
140.
The problem with this performance is that Scott's a good 20 points behind where he was against Richie after 3 legs yesterday.
41.
He doesn't look likely to find the form that will topple Nick here. But what is this doing for Nick's chances of making finals on a Saturday
100.
again? He did so in week 1 of phase 4, where he lost in the very final match to Robert Owen. So he knows what it takes to get to Champions Week.
180.
Third maximum of the match. And it gets Marsh back in this leg.
60.
I, for the life of me, don't know why Nick stayed on the 60 there with darts 2 and 3. Especially when there's an open 51 bed downstairs. He is a rather stubborn animal when it comes to that treble 20.
123.
That treble 1 is not the worst dart in the world. It still gets him to a 2-darter.
60.
And Fullwell fails again on the 60 to
Scott,
offer
you
Marsh
require 100.
maybe, say maybe in bold and underlined, 6 darts from here. Another double top.
80.
Now, can Fullwell mimic
Nick,
what he did
require
yesterday against Burnett
141.
in finishing with a 140 plus checkout? There's your answer.
62. Scott, you require 20.
He's had 7 darts at a double in this match. To finish the leg, of course, he's already hit a double on approach. And he finally finds
Game
one.
shot on the 4th leg. Scott Marsh.
I think the referee there couldn't see the shot, and he didn't want to move just in case Scott needed another dart. Good etiquette from our referee there, Charlie
5th leg,
Corsterfield.
it's Nick to
But
throw
it was
first.
successful. And Nick Fullwell now has his first opportunity to serve it out.
125.
When you start with 2 trebles, like Nick has just done, you don't expect to lose the leg from here.
100.
He still won't expect to lose it. You've got to maintain pressure.
43.
And that's not it. He's left himself on the gooch. And if you don't know what the gooch is, let me explain. 31 years ago, Graham Gooch scored 333 for England against India.
100.
It is arguably the greatest innings by an England batsman in history. If you've never seen the highlights of it, it's quite extraordinary.
100.
So whenever you leave yourself on 333, you could do the umpire skip because it's a triple Nelson. And of course you can call it the gooch.
$91.
Well, Fullwell, who is stubborn on the 60, will not know about going 19s first here. And he doesn't need to.
100.
It's a very good ton. But on 233, a lot of more defensive style players would go 2 single 19s and 25. That leaves 170. And of course, if he gets 7 19s downstairs, it leaves 100.
Nick, you
So
require
there's a lot of
133.
logic to doing that, but he's old school, is Nick. That single 1 is starting to creep into his game a bit. 72.
97.
And that leaves double 18. So Scott Marsh is staring at the cliff
Scott,
edge
you
here.
require 110.
Miss this, and the likelihood is you lose. Treble 17 for tops to survive.
90.
Nick Fullwell staring at his first win of the night.
Nick, you require 36.
He finished yesterday against Scott Marsh, losing by 4 legs to 2. And he might still lose this one.
Scott, you require
He's got every right
20.
to shake his head or scratch his noggin. Can Marsh elongate this game?
Game
There's
shot
your
on the
answer.
5th leg.
Yes, he can.
Scott Marsh.
It's 3-2 now, And we are looking at a very similar game to what we saw yesterday with Richie Burnett and Scott Marsh.
Sixth leg.
Can he
It's
hold
Scott to
through
throw
and
first.
take it all the way?
Game on.
We didn't get a great deal of 4-3s this morning with Group C.
100.
But what we got were a lot of players on the same points going into the last couple of matches. As it turned out, a 4-0 win for Gary Robson against Corinne Hammond
100.
in match number 13 was key. That gave him a really good lead in leg difference. And then when Prakash Jiwa did not win his final match against Dan Day, Robson progressed.
60.
And then it was a shootout between Stu Wilson and Niall Cullerton. And Cullerton won that by the odd leg at the end. Marsh in the background just trying to settle himself down
45.
here. Maybe trying to remember what happened last night. He's charging.
140.
He believes. Now, a loss here for Nick Fullwell wouldn't be
58.
catastrophic for his chances. Well, what we would see is a 6-point gap between Marsh and Fullwell, and Marsh and James Richardson. So, the likelihood is
97.
that Marsh will pick up at least one more win from his final 3 games. He'd definitely have possibly one leg
60.
in the finals. And it would be a scrap
Scott, you
between the other
require
4 players
104.
for 2 spots. But we're not there yet. Downstairs now towards the 16s.
48.
And that's all right because Nick is not scoring well at the minute. His average has come down to 77. It's almost as if that 60 bet is
Scott, you
repelling his
require
darts at the minute. He's not
56.
throwing them poorly. They're just not landing in there. And that has not landed in the right single. That'll do.
Game
And
shot
so
the
will
sixth
that.
leg. Scott Marsh.
For a second time over the course of this group, he has now got the chance to win from 3-0 down. For me, this one
7th and final leg. It's
was
Nick
more
to throw
unlikely
first.
because
Game
of the
on.
way he played in the first 3 legs. The averages have changed. Now Scott Marsh has got the better average.
140.
But is Nick Fullwell going to make this exciting and get the win anyway? And all that work from Marsh could be in vain. Fails to get a treble. It feels like an eternity since Nick Fullwell left double 18 for the match. And missed on the
45.
inside and also missed double 9. Better first start. He can attack that. Look at him gritting his teeth.
140.
Trying to stay in this match, and he's definitely back in the leg now with that 2 treble visit. He's going to stay up there. It's good. Just how good that is depends on what Scott delivers here. It's better.
140.
We just needed confirmation from the referee there. We couldn't see dart 3. But he's the first to a finish. He's got company.
85.
But he leaves an awful number.
Scott, you
Nobody
require
likes 131. This one is putting grey hairs on my head. I fear to think how these guys feel.
99. Nick, you require 131.
Can he pull it out of the bag the way he has done before? Not on this occasion. Got to go treble 18 now. It's got to be treble 18, Nick. He was thinking treble 20.
49.
He was caught in two minds.
Scott, you require
And
62.
he could well be served on a plate. Defeat. Double 10. And that's the difference between those two players.
Scott Marsh.
Nick Fullwell got two match darts, one at double 18 and one at double 9, in what seems like an eternity ago. But for the second time in 2 nights, Scott Marsh wins from 3-0 down. He gets two match darts as well, but he is able to convert his second one. You can see the averages at 82 and 77. A little bit scratchy to start with, but as we go into match number 2, we see somebody at the top in Scott Marsh with a 6-point gap. Will he be caught? I'm not so sure, but people can get closer, and James Richardson and Richie Burnett will get their fight up and started right after this. Good evening and welcome back to the Online Darts Live League. With match 2 about to commence, we are going to see two of the most seasoned professionals as part of the Online Darts Live League in James Richardson and Richie Burnett. The 47-year-old from Northamptonshire is looking to book his place in the weekly finals once again. But this man has a bit of pressure on his shoulders tonight. He got off to the ideal start yesterday.
First leg, it's James to throw first. Game on.
But it all fizzled out after that. Now, these two have played each other many times over the course of 2021. In fact, they've played each other 16 times. James is currently 9-7 up. But
60.
More importantly, they've played each other 4 times this week throughout Group A and Group B, and it's 2-all. That tells a more accurate picture for
57.
Me as to what they've been doing very recently. When opening up his campaign yesterday, Richie started with 107 average in
60.
dismantling Robert Rickwood, but then suffered defeat in every match after that and finished the night with 2 points in total, putting him in 5th position, in fact 4th position. I'll go back to my other answer. And a leg difference of -2. But all is not lost, because with Marsh winning 5 from 5 so far in this group, that's actually a good thing for Richie, because everybody's bunched up between positions 2 and 5.
100.
On the flip side, James Richardson got off to a bad start yesterday, losing his first 2 matches, but rectified the night with 2 wins 55. In his last 2 matches.
James, you require 108.
He does everything to leave tops.
84.
But when he can't leave tops, leave something in the vicinity. And double 12 is pretty close by. It's in the same cul-de-sac.
96. James, you require 24.
Score halved by Richie Burnett after 5 visits.
Game shot on the first.
The double 12 is taken
James
very
Richardson.
quickly by James Richardson, who is now 5 perfect legs into Richie Burnett for their 2 games in this group. Because yesterday, when they played in match 9,
Richie to throw first.
Richardson won by 4 legs to 0. It was a scrappy, tired affair that took place at around about 1:45 in the morning.
45.
They should feel a little bit fresher in this one, you feel. But looking at the results throughout the course of this week, there's been a 4-0 victory for Burnett.
120.
Then a 4-3 victory for Burnett. But over the last couple of days, Richardson really has found something against Richie. He's won 4-1 and 4-0. In the first
97.
couple of games yesterday, and I'm going to say the first 7 legs of last night, because he won his first 7 legs on Thursday night, did Richie. He looked smooth, he looked calm, composed, but after he lost from 3-0 up against Scott Marsh, that jerky follow-through started to come into his game. And he is in early trouble here against JR. Not Hartley, 85. Not Ewing, Richardson. That joke might be lost on you if you're watching internationally.
81.
Early exasperation for the 1995 world champion. If this is going to continue, it could be a long night.
78. James, you require
Richardson trying to make this game as short as possible to get his way to 6 points. That's a great first start. A safe 20.
Game
And
shot
a
on the second
magnificent
leg.
tops.
James Richardson.
It's all well and good getting 120 checkouts, but when you've got a dart that sits as upright as James's, you've got to be crafty. He stayed well away from that 60 after hitting it.
Game on.
And he's looking very good.
57.
Nobody has reached 6 points outside of the league leader, Scott Marsh, so far. Richardson could be the first to get there tonight.
95.
His destiny will be in his hands for this group. But that won't help.
21.
But for me, the biggest story of tonight is Richie Burnett. Because if you look at what he's done in 2021, he was strong in Phase 1. He won Phase 2.
100.
He made Champions Week in Phase 3 and 4. He has not failed to make Champions Week this year.
140.
This could be his stiffest test yet. Now in Phase 4, he only just made it into Champions Week by scraping through Group B and then
100.
Scraping through on finals night on Saturday. Can he do it again?
140.
Champions Week without Richie Burnett, I can't envisage it. Not yet. And neither can he. But that throw
33.
just looks a little bit out of sync so far
James
tonight. He
143.
looks like he's got a lot of work to do.
65.
The first two darts came out the rocket. Richardson went down to the bullseye. That's his own play.
$137.
He's got to take the 78 to take a 3-0 lead.
78.
Hasn't missed a double yet. Averaging 99. He's going to get another shot at tops.
38.
And has missed now. So Burnett gets the little mistake that he required
36.
to possibly get his way into this match with a break of throw.
Game shot.
And he does find his way into that double 18 bed. There's no joy on his face right now. It's all about, oh, I just got it. Managing to cling on. Can he serve well to bring this back to 2-2? There's a look of intensity on the face of Burnett that we didn't see until later on in yesterday's session. They've been playing each other since the 24th of May this year. That was their first meeting. They've had plenty of action since then.
135.
But as far as yesterday is concerned, Richie Burnett averaged 93.47. That was the best running average of anybody in the group.
83.
Somewhat inflated by the fact that he had a best average of the night of 107. And he did lose a match with a ton plus average against Nick Fullwell, 103.89.
140.
But it's the points that get you through to the finals on Saturday night, not the averages.
180.
Usually we see James Richardson as the biggest 180 hitter in the group. He wasn't yesterday. Burnett is not going to take the 141, and he's got to dodge
85.
a possible 318 in 6 from
James
JR 501.
138. 28.
Can Burnett survive
Richie
again?
require 56.
For 2-2. It's not there, and I sense a bit of pain. There is the look of pain.
James, you require 40.
Because you don't fancy Richardson's missing this.
Game
Because
shot
he
on
doesn't
the
miss it
fourth
very
leg.
often.
James Richardson.
3-1 to JR. He has lost a leg in this match. His first leg loss against Richie this week. But of course, he won't care as long as he gets 4 out of,
Fifth leg,
course,
it's James
7
to
legs
throw
in the match.
first. Game on.
And that's an ideal start. He grabs a Dundas. If you don't know what that is, that's referee Anthony Dundas's favourite number. 174. And nobody
100.
bellows that better than him. I think even Charlie, our referee tonight, would admit that. Because he is a good friend of Anthony Dundas. If indeed you are tuning in tonight, Ant,
49.
hope you're well. I know 2021 has not been a good year for you, but we welcome you back here anytime, my friend. Richie's going for a walk, and after all the times that James Richardson has played Richie, he knows what he's like. He's just going to focus on what he does. There's an interesting darts scene in Northamptonshire right now. The likes of Ricky Evans. Some good lady players in that area of the world as well. And James Richardson there,
60.
Giving it the full, I'm putting my back to you thing. I don't mind that, actually. He's just trying to focus on his own game. James has played a lot of county darts at Burton Latimer. And he's proudly from that area. I do believe that Dave Pallett is currently in that part of the world as well. Good friend of Ricky Evans.
60.
But Richardson is not far away from 2 points here. To not only put himself into second position in the table, but to put
46.
4 points between himself and Robert Rickwood and Burnett himself. It would ensure that the best effort that Burnett can return in this table is 8 points.
100.
The gap is starting to widen.
James,
the walls are closing in on Burnett. I'm not 100% sure
56.
if he has the arsenal tonight to get through this group.
Richie require
To
170.
me, he looks like he's fighting a losing battle, but it's early. You just never know. Just
40.
doesn't seem to be happening. This is what was happening at the end of last night as well.
James, you require 70.
Double top.
30 score.
Just checking with the ref. And that is the end of the game.
The match.
21 darts
Richardson.
is enough to get it done by 4 legs to 1. So Burnett is in trouble in this table. And James Richardson, anything but. He goes to second position. Will he be happy with that performance? I suppose you'd have to ask James. But with a 92 average and 67% on the doubles and a high checker of 120, I think it makes for pretty good reading. I think a lot of the focus in that match was based on what Richie was doing. We're going to focus on Robert Rickwood now because he's the last player to have his first game of the night, and he's coming up after the break. welcome back to our coverage of Group B in the Online Darts Live League for Friday evening. I hope you've enjoyed the first couple of matches with wins for Scott Marsh and James Richardson. But Robert Rickwood of Lancashire rejoins us for Saturday night and up against a man who loves to win from 3-0 down. Twice it has happened in the last two nights. There is no position he can't win from. But the 49-year-old from Lancashire will
Game on.
Have one last crack at getting to the finals in Phase 5. Week 2. Yesterday, only 2 points registered.
45.
With a great win over Nick Fullwell in match 4. But he gets the late shift today. He starts in match 3. And he starts really well.
180.
Who's to say that he's not going to make the finals, because he's done it before. When we saw him last, he was a qualifier and found his way to finals on his debut week. But things have changed since he was last here. We now have bonuses for players who make the finals.
140.
If you win the finals night tomorrow, live on Sporty Stuff TV from 10 PM, you will get a bonus of £2,000. The runner-up £1,000, semi-finalists £500. And if you fail to make the semi-finals, but make the finals, of course, on Saturday night, you get a bonus of £375.
122.
Which is better than a kick in the unmentionables. So Robert has incentive to make the finals for a second time. Let's not forget that if you do finish in places 1, 2 or 3 tomorrow night, you will get into Champions Week.
Robert, you require 59.
Great first leg from Rickwood here. Double 10.
49.
And he might have it stolen away from him now.
Scott, you require 76.
Double 8.
Game shot.
He is just a master at sticking around, isn't he? He is like a bad penny in your mouth. You just can't get rid of the taste. Incredible stuff from Scott Marsh. He just doesn't know the word quit.
First. Game on.
You look at the stats of Rickwood from yesterday. A running average of 83.
41.
A best in-game performance of 87.13. A couple of 180s and 1 ton plus checkout, but it was a biggie.
121.
It was a 149 and one of the best shots I've seen to finish a match all year. It was astonishing.
135.
I've talked about Rickwood with 2 points in the table, similar to Richie Burnett.
140.
They are the two that might get chopped out of contention in the next couple of matches if they don't get early wins. But Scott Marsh, if he gets a 6th consecutive win, I think he's safe. And to be able to do that with 2 matches to go, that is some effort. A lot of the headlines will have been about the likes of Burnett and Richardson and Fullwell coming into this, but Scott Marsh, plenty of experience here this year.
Scott, you require 140.
He's doing another good job. Rickwood had shots to take leg 1.
Robert, you require 100.
Will he get shots again? He has got a shot at tops.
60.
But misses the second one to convert leg 2.
Scott, you require 98.
This would be just like leg 1. Stealing it away. can tell that he fancies it.
Game
It's
shot on the
almost as if
second
he knew he
leg.
was going to hit it.
Scott Marsh.
76 in 2, 98 in 2. Is there anything that this guy can't do in Group B? Astonishing stuff.
Third leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
There was a glimmer of a smile before he went for that double 19.
60.
He's got so much confidence in this group that he thoroughly believes he's going to walk away with 16 points from it.
125.
Just in case you weren't watching from last week's finals, to give you an indication of who came through last week's finals, it was £2,000 won by Jim Williams.
41.
The runner-up from last Saturday night, Connor Scott, and third place was won by Mike Warburton. So those three are the first three names in the hat for Champions Week.
100.
There will be 3 more names added after tomorrow, then another 3 names the week after, and another 3 names after that. And those players will go forward to Champions Week at the end of October.
180.
I fancy one of those names is going to be Scott Marsh. He could well go into the finals with the most confidence.
180.
Fair play to Robert Rickwood. He's not going to go away. He could be 2-0 up himself. It's a big leave, but it's a
Robert,
finish
you
that he took
require
yesterday
96.
against Rickwood. And he will remember that. That's why he wants to get rid of this pronto. Double 14.
68.
Well, if Scott Marsh takes this,
Scott, you require 160.
he's a magician. Look at Robert Rickwood. He's thinking, not again. Scott really thought he was going to do it again.
$100. Robert,
Rickwood comes back for double 14. And for the first time, he gets a couple of bites at the cherry. Double 7.
14.
Oh, that's a big mistake.
Scott, you
He
require
could be
60.
3-0 up. And in every likelihood, he's going to be 3-0 down.
Game
And
shot
he
on the
is
third
3-0
leg.
down. That's
Scott
the
Marsh.
reason why Scott Marsh is at the top of the table, because he has been taking every opportunity that has been coming his way. There might have been a slight wave of apology
Fourth
there
leg,
from
it's
Scott.
Robert to throw
But if I
first.
was in his
Game
position,
on.
I wouldn't bother with that. I'd just keep winning legs and booking my spot in the finals for tomorrow, because he's very close to it.
140.
In fact, he's very close to winning the group already. The closest person to him is James Richardson. He's currently 4 points ahead, but a win here,
140.
and especially a 4-0 win, he'll be out of reach.
100.
Not mathematically, but you would fancy that Marsh on form is going to pick up at least one more victory tonight. Now, I'm not saying that Robert Rickwood is out of this match. Not by any means. But just look at
100.
what Scott is doing. Winning, winning, winning. He's doing it with 102 average here, and he's defying Robert Rickwood's 104.
43.
This is the best that Robert Rickwood has played statistically, and it's still not good enough to win a leg. We've had 3 180s in this match, 2 of them to
140.
Rickwood. Scott Marsh has not missed a double. And Robert has had 8
58.
darts at a double in this match.
Scott, you
Just
require
imagine what his average would be if he'd
121.
have hit one of them. For the match, he's gone for treble 7 for tops.
81.
It almost worked.
Robert, you require 160.
Caught me off guard there. Robert Rickwood needs tops. Oh, and he wires it as well. That would have been a perfect response to what
Scott,
he
you
did.
require 40.
Take on the chin yesterday from Scott. But Tops gets the job done. And Marsh is imperious. A beautiful performance and a best of the week by him. He is surely in the finals as the leader of this group. 12 unanswered points. And he is just looking very, very good indeed. 13 darted to finish things off. And the stats are excellent. Look at Robert Rickwood. Exactly 100 average in defeat. But 9 missed doubles. You can't do that against the league leader. 103.66. One of his best performances of the entire year. Well done to Scott. We're going to take a short break now. But when we come back, it's Fullwell against Richie Burnett. They need points. Someone's got to get them. We'll be back shortly. warm welcome back to our Friday night session here with the Online Darts Live League. And our Group B action will continue as we see Nick Fullwell up against Richie Burnett now. We're hoping that this is an exciting affair, but I have a sneaky suspicion this one could get a bit messy. We have one person through to the finals tomorrow. That is Scott Marsh. He's very, very safe on 12 points at top of the table. But these two, over the age of 50.
First leg, it's Richie to throw first. Game on.
And hoping that 2021 will deliver more in the way of Saturday finals and Champions Weeks. This is a huge match in that fight.
60.
If Fullwell gets the 2 points, Burnett is in huge bother. Because that would mean he's 4 points adrift of
100.
Fullwell and Richardson with only 2 matches to go. And he's got to play Scott Marsh and Robert Rickwood.
177.
That's much better from Burnett. It's easy for me to sit here and say that Richie Burnett should win this game. He has performed better this week statistically.
100.
But he has not delivered on points in this group like Nick has. That's why I think this one's a bit of a 50-50 call.
137. Richie require 164.
Staying up top for the 164. I think in that spot it was the right thing to do.
100.
Leaves himself handily placed on a 2-darter. Couple of games that really broke the heart of Richie.
59.
On
Richie
Thursday night,
64.
one of them was against Fullwell. He lost by 4 legs to 3. Double 8.
Game shot
Finds
the
that
first
an
leg.
early confidence
Richie
booster
Burnett.
for Richie Burnett. He has had a few darts at double so far tonight, but you'd have to say that the scoring ability of Richie has just been a bit too sketchy.
Second leg, it's Nick to
Has
throw
he figured
first.
something out in
Game
the
on.
practice room?
$100.
When losing that game to Nick Fullwell yesterday, Burnett was in position to win it. And what did Fullwell do?
41.
Pulled out a 1-4-3 when Richie missed the bull for the match. It was dramatic to say the least.
45.
I don't know how many times in the last 3 matches that Nick has played where he has peppered the top wire of that 60 and not found the lipstick like that. He's had a very frustrating time on the treble 20, has Nick, over the last couple of days. He might have scored the most 180s yesterday. But in
59.
between those 180s, he's had a lot of shots that have come up a little bit dry. Burnett has definitely found something in the practice room. He's scoring so much better, more consistent as well. And if he does find a win in this match, he will be
100.
equal with Fullwell on 4 points. How much of the leg difference can he close as well? He's currently at -5, Fullwell at -2.
140.
We've got James Richardson against Robert Rickwood next. And if Richardson wins that match, Rickwood is very close to elimination.
100. Richie require 40.
Double 10. Pushes the wire.
Game
But
shot
finds the middle of the bed and a
Richie
2-0 lead. He's got to maintain focus in this game because, like I've told you a little bit earlier, he has let leads slip.
Third
Doesn't
leg,
need
Richie
to do that
throw
right now.
first. Game on.
You do wonder what the first game of the night has done to Nick as well. We're looking at two players
100.
who have lost to the same opponent the same way. 3-0 leads against Scott Marsh, losing 4-3 to that opponent, admittedly on different days.
140.
But losing games like that, they scar you. Richie Burnett has had more time to forget about that from
60.
yesterday, whereas Nick, the last game he played, was that defeat.
$83.
He's not pleased with his performance so far. You can tell from his facial expressions.
$121.
Richie is grafting here. He's grinding. And he's only 180 points away from a double.
$81.
Stats from that game yesterday were perplexing. They played in match number 7. Nick Fullwell won with a 90.71 average and 2/3 of his doubles hit. But his opponent in defeat had 103.89 with 50% on doubles. It defies logic and belief.
100. Richie require
And Richie
80.
wants revenge. Not that he is vengeful when it comes to people like Nick Fullwell. He's not like that. He just wants to get his own back.
40. Nick require 97.
Treble 19. Leaves tops. He
77.
doesn't find it, and Richie Burnett gets 3 at that bed to open up
Richie
a 3-leg
require
cushion
40.
in a race to 4. Just kiss it in off that one.
20.
That is going to make him livid.
Nick require 20.
Just a little scooch to the left to open up that bed. Got to fire it online,
No score.
but can't find the bed. Can
Richie
Richie show him the way?
20.
Double
Game
10
shot
is
on the
found,
third leg.
and he's
Richie
been dodging
Burnett.
bullets in this game, has Richie Burnett. He's a very, very fortunate player. But this 3-0 position, he cannot afford to let this one slip.
Fourth leg, it's Nick to throw first.
You just fancy that
60.
the way that Nick Fullwell is playing this evening so far, averaging 77 in his first game and 82 here, that he's not really in the sort of form to win from 3-0 down. But how much rope can he grab from the Prince of Wales?
81.
Nick's not the kind of player to have a nickname. That's why he hasn't got it on his shirt.
58.
But if he's going to make it through to finals this week, I think he's going to have to scrap for it. He's not going to cruise through
57.
the way he did in week 1 of phase 4. This is the point of the match where Burnett really has to find some calm and focus at the same time. He can't beat himself up too much.
97.
Keep looking at the scoreboard. Feel good about the fact that you're 3-0 up. But that follow through is getting jerkier by the minute. That's a worry. You can just see in the background, he's trying to shake
58.
something out. I would love to know just what goes on physiologically in his body when this starts to happen. And after
60.
shaking it out there, his throw looked a lot
Nick
smoother,
require
even though he only scored 60.
148.
If he is going to lose a leg in this match, he's better off losing this one
94.
than any other. It's on the Fullwell throw. It's in a leg where he's not expected to win. But things might change if he gets another treble 20. And he does.
140. Nick can require 54.
Skin saving time at double 6. He didn't expect to be going for that double. And that's why in those spots
Richie
you do tend to miss
80.
them. So it's a bonus opportunity to win by 4 legs to nil.
Game,
And he has won by 4
man
legs
the
to nil.
match, Richie
So he
Burnett.
puts that in the book. And he is very much challenging for one of the top 3 spots. A great 80 checkout, it has to be said. And his doubles in this match have been very steady indeed. So maybe the memory of losing from 3-0 up against Scott Marsh is extinguished with that 87 average and 4 out of 11 on the doubles. But only nothing. That's what you get for 7 misses a double. We're going to be right back after the break. We're going to see Robert Rickwood against James Richardson. It is now the time for Robert Rickwood to kick in, and if he doesn't, he's going to be out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Online Darts Live League. Thank you for staying with us at this late hour, but we are just about to finish our first half of play. Robert Rickwood is now on the bottom of the table on his own on 2 points after Richie Burnett picked up a valuable victory against Nick Fullwell, and that victory pushes Nick out of the qualifying spots for now. Richardson, with a win here, will be very close to qualification.
Game on.
The maximum amount of points
54.
that Robert Rickwood can now get is 8. He has to use this game in hand against Richardson well.
93.
If he does win it, 4 players will be vying for 2 spots in the finals tomorrow, because we do now know that Scott Marsh is confirmed as part of the finals with Gary Robson, with Niall Cullerton and Martin Adams.
26.
Those 4 finalists: experience, brilliance, expectation.
60.
But not all of them are going to make Champions Week. Only 3 people can do that. In order to find out who books their place into Champions Week, you'll have to join us again from 10 p.m. tomorrow.
140.
But Rickwood is the man with the game in hand.
100.
Richardson has started well with a 4-1 victory against Richie Burnett.
60. Robert, you require 100.
He's revived his challenge. Can Richardson keep the chasing pack at bay and create his own 4-point gap
97.
over Rickwood, Fullwell and Burnett, and make it a 3-horse race for that 3rd spot? He wants to make that 2nd spot his own.
140. Robert, you require 50.
No messing here.
Game shot.
And he does find the first leg with
Robert
a solid
Rickwood.
18 darter to get things cracking. It's a bit of an old school game, this one. Using heavy darts, these two.
Second leg, it's James to throw first.
And heavy hitting
Game
to
on.
start us off. Not that I'm saying they're old. Still got plenty of years ahead of them.
97.
But we have had some very young players this year, in the shape of Nathan Gervin, Keelan Kay,
100.
and indeed some others, showcasing all of the talent that we can find outside of the world's top 128.
100. 123.
He's working really hard right now as Rickwood. The Lancashire player from Burnley, who only walked away with 2 points last night,
120
is up against it. When playing yesterday against James,
70.
he suffered a 4-2 loss, but Richardson was excellent. Just the tiniest bit under 100 average.
60.
But the way he finished the match with a 170 checkout, it was the equivalent of putting truffle on a risotto.
100.
It was perfect.
James, you require 123.
Is it as easy as ABC? 1, 2, 3 on the ball. Oh, bust out a tune, why don't you? I'm not going to sing it, but we are going to show you it again. Beautiful bullseye to pick off a beautiful ton plus check out to equalise at 1 leg all.
$59.
James is very famous for his walk-on, which he used for the first time when he had that
140.
almost career-defining win against Raymond van Barneveld some years ago. That was back in 2012.
60.
Where he was on a collision course with yours truly in the last 16 of the Worlds, but he failed to take out Kim Huybrecht. And so did I.
135.
Eventually, Kim was taken out by Andy Hamilton in the quarterfinals. And then Andy made it all the way to the final, where he lost to Adrian Lewis.
96.
I remember the pink shirt. I remember the walk-on. And I remember the result against Barneveld.
180.
Is it just me, or is James Richardson starting to play in fast forward? He's definitely getting quicker. And as a result,
85.
Rickwood is getting quicker as well.
James will require 46.
They're playing like they've got a cab booked.
Game shot on the third.
Especially when he's getting 11
James
darters that
Richardson.
quickly. That leg must have taken probably around a minute. Superb stuff, and never in doubt as well.
Fourth leg, it's James to throw
And
first.
for the second day in a row, he's leading with an average of over 100.
96.
When you're playing someone who is constantly hitting things and averaging well and beating you, you start taking it personally.
83.
I assure you with James it won't be anything personal, because he's not that kind of guy. But he'll make it feel like it's personal.
180.
He is cooking now. The gas is on.
59.
Remaining matches in this group for James
140.
include the final match of the night against Nick Fullwell and a duel with Scott Marsh in match
68.
8. That
James will
intrigues,
require 85.
but so does this for a second consecutive 11 darter. He wants the treble 10. He can canter towards
45.
tops. Rickwood way back on 291. I'd like to say that this is easy for James, but he's making all of his own luck. Rickwood is not playing poorly. He's
40.
just being made to look like he's playing
James will
poorly.
require 40.
Double 10.
Game shot on the
Fine,
fourth
fine,
leg.
fine
James
shot.
Richardson.
Because 3-1 is a very fair result right now for James Richardson, who is just way and above, better than Rickwood, and he only needs
Fifth
one
leg, it's
more
Robert
for
to throw
another
first.
2 valuable
Game on.
points. The most amount of points
60.
that Richardson can bank is indeed 12, which Marsh already has. He is adrift in leg difference from Marsh
58.
by 10. So you would expect that maybe he's not going to snag the top spot.
96.
But if he gets a heavy win here and a heavy win against Scott Marsh in his next match, anything is possible. But Marsh plays Burnett next,
96.
and the permutations of that are enormous. It's got nothing to do with Marsh. He's just playing to get more points.
23.
He's already through. But Burnett needs the result. And the match after that for Rickwood against Nick Fullwell,
100.
the importance of that will be based on what Burnett does with Marsh.
100.
Has he got room for another 180 in this match? Possibly not.
64.
Well, unless he wants to leave 3, which I'm sure he doesn't want to do. But he has got a couple,
52.
and he's got 75% on the doubles as well, with a very tidy average. He's not going to leave 3. I assure you he's not going to leave 3.
159.
He does love a 180, but everybody loves a 159
Robert,
approach.
you require 170.
Go on, get him back. I had to say it, because the 170 yesterday from Richardson against Rickwood was
42.
magical. That would have been just as good.
Required 24.
Double 12.
Game
Just too good.
And
that 16 darter will see the average of James Richardson decline. And that shows how good he played in this match. Just look how clean this was. One match dart. There you go. Bang. Off she goes. 104.07 with 80% on the doubles. We haven't seen much better than that in this group. In fact, I think we've only seen one performance better than that. But Rickwood is nearly at the exit door. James Richardson very close to qualification. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, it is that incredible match which has huge permutations between Marsh and Burnett. Hello and welcome back to the Online Darts Live League. A fascinating encounter is about to commence with Scott Marsh taking on Richie Burnett. Without further ado, let's have a little look at what we are about to encounter. Marsh is safe, the pressure is off, but the pressure is very much on Richie Burnett. He's got 4 points, and if he wants to put the pressure somewhere else, he could do with being the first player to beat Scott Marsh in this group. Fullwell and Rickwood are next against each other. So if Burnett fails to get a win here in his penultimate match, everything is going to be on his last match.
First. Game on.
And he will have to win from behind. But only, of course, if Nick Fullwell beats Robert Rickwood next.
60.
It's getting about as complicated as Group C was earlier. This is the point where the Online Darts Live League abacus is unearthed.
100.
This was the game yesterday that had everybody shaking their head. How did Richie Burnett lose this fixture yesterday? He was cruising. 3-0 up. After a 4-0 start against Robert Rickwood in his first match, he looked so comfortable. But the chain fell off the bike.
100.
The gearbox was lost. Name your superlative. Name your comparison, but you have to say that Scott Marsh has proven his mettle, not just in that
82.
Corresponding fixture from yesterday, but he's done it today as well against Nick Fullwell, which, funnily enough, has turned out to be a huge favour to Richie Burnett. That's good.
180.
First maximum of the match comes in leg one to set up a possible 12 darter for Richie Burnett.
$28.
Let's see what he can do with this.
121.
Gonna stay up top and just lay up. I like
89.
it a lot. I like what I see. Central singles are always a good sign. Don't just grade a dart player on the inner ring and the outer ring. Just look at how good the singles can be as well. They can't tell a picture.
137.
I'll tell you
Richie
a story
require
even.
32.
Paint a picture, tell you a story, tell you a picture, name. Whichever one you want. But it is 32 for the first leg. Through the posts.
No score.
And it doesn't register.
Scott, you require 152.
Very nearly. Finds that first dart. 72 left.
88.
So don't miss this time, Richie.
Richie requires
This is a gilt-edged
32.
opportunity to break the Marsh throw early.
Game shot
Well
on the
done.
first leg.
16 darts
Richie Burnett
is around that 94 average mark, so it's a tidy start for him. But this is a mental battle for Richie Burnett. Can he come through it?
Second leg, it's Richie to throw first. Game on.
This is their 7th meeting of the year. They had their first one of 2021 back on the 24th of June. And since then, their 6 completed matches have been shared.
60.
3 games all. Just to give you an indication of what will happen tomorrow night as well.
60.
We will see Scott Marsh, of course, alongside Martin Adams, Gary Robson and Niall Cullerton, with 2 other players yet to be confirmed. But we will have a pre-final show on YouTube. Myself and Phil Bars will chew the fat about what's happened this week and a little bit of chatter about darts in general. Watch out for the Online Darts Twitter page to see
58.
what time that will be broadcast. It should be around 7 o'clock tomorrow night, maybe a tiny bit earlier. And that will be the point where we announce who is playing next week in week 3 as
100.
well. I, for the life of me, don't know who's playing next week, but I will find out tomorrow and we will break the news to you in less than 24 hours. Marsh is having a bit of a dodgy start to this one. in a very similar vein to yesterday's game. You just question how much pain is in that leg of his. He's not putting a great deal of weight on it when he's at the back of the room.
55.
He is used to having quite a long walk up towards the 7'9¼ hockey. But if I were him, I would stand maybe
100.
a tiny bit closer to Richie Burnett. Not too close, because you might get a dig in the nuts or the ribs from that kickback. Watch out for it. And that may be why he's standing so far back.
100.
That's why, right there. But constantly walking distances to the hockey is not going to be good for that leg.
$98. Richie require
Does Burnett
86.
double his lead? 3 18s leaves 2 16s. But 1 18 leaves 50. Bullseye.
61.
Almost 2-0.
Scott, you require 127.
We saw a 1-2-3 on the bull from James Richardson in the last match. Will we go a little bit better than that?
87.
A snarl of derision from Marshy there.
Richie require 25.
And Burnett comes back to double his lead. These are big shots.
17.
He thought it was in, but he doesn't get the nod from
Scott,
Charlie.
you require 40.
Charlie's the boss. And Marsh doesn't miss tops much, but he will hate that effort. That was not close. A somewhat relaxed approach on that double 10.
Marsh.
I think he was so disgusted with that shot at double top that he just approached this double 10 and said, you know what, I'll just let it flow. It worked.
Third leg,
And it's
Scott
one leg
to
all.
throw first. Game on.
Richie is nowhere to be
57.
seen in the background. He really is wandering around the back portion of that room. Must be a nice feeling for Scott, knowing that 2 games he still has to play, and he will be the first
59.
person to finish his campaign in this group, and he will do so knowing that he's definitely playing tomorrow. You just wonder if
41.
Richie Burnett is in a lot of pain. There's a lot of grimacing going on at the back of the room. We've seen a lot of jerkiness with the follow through from him, and he is doing his ultimate to try and eliminate the pain.
60.
The dartboard never lies. Whatever you do when you throw those shots, it spits out a score.
139.
It never lies to you. It's one of the fairest playing surfaces on the planet. You will get a few darts on the floor, whether it's bounce outs or collisions with other darts.
99.
But with the technology that we use these days, we eliminate so many more bounce outs than we used to get. Just to give you an indication of some of the things that we could talk about, I remember being at a county game between Northumberland and County Durham
60.
back in the year of 2001. A friend of mine called Kenny Rowlands had 14 bounce outs in a match, and it was only 4 legs. Can you imagine how that
100.
felt? Great adjustment from Marsh.
100.
Decent ton. And Burnett will hope that he is down to something very small after this.
58.
Not small enough. But I think that switch to the
Scott,
18s was
104.
very wise. It might not matter. Motown, 4 tops.
Game shot on the third leg.
And 104 gives Scott Marsh the lead. It's not the same sort of recovery that we saw yesterday from 3-0. But he has, after being 1-0 down, found the lead for the first time.
Throw first. Game on.
This scrap for the third place in this group is starting to really fascinate me.
140.
Is the streak of constantly making Champions Week for Burnett going to end tonight? He was a big player in Phase 1 when we had lockdown. In Phase 2, when things changed, we got a referee in the room. We started having Champions Week. He won the phase. He won the whole thing. Got the £6,000 check. He made Champions Week in Phase 3 and 4 as well. But you sense his chances of Champions Week in Phase 5. Well, it's hanging by a thread, isn't it? And he has one more match after this with Robert Rickwood. And first,
100.
He may need a favour from that player. He would prefer if Rickwood beats Fullwell next. Because if Marsh wins this and Rickwood wins next, that means
140.
that Fullwell, Burnett and Rickwood would all be on 4 points with 1 match left.
65.
Sensible
Scott,
use of the 25 from
150.
Richie. 19's here. Needs 3 more. Doesn't get 3 more. He gets 3.
140.
But he does find 57 more
Richie
in total with 2 darts.
96.
Does he go double-double? No. Double 8.
Game
Splendid stuff from Richie Burnett. He's fighting with everything he can muster. Just when you think the double-double play comes into play, well, it doesn't.
5th leg, it's
traditional brilliance from the Prince of Wales to keep himself in it. And you just don't know right now how important that leg could be.
100.
We've seen people eliminated from making finals on a Saturday by virtue of 1 leg. Of the 3 chasers at the bottom of the table, Richie Burnett has the best leg difference
81.
of -1. Fullwell, -6. Rickwood, -16. The last 3 matches, in fact the last 4 matches, have skittled on. 4-1, 4-0, 4-0, 4-1.
58.
I'd like to see you getting your money's worth tonight. But the average amount of legs in a match, it's not as much as last night, I can assure you of that. I'm sure you'll get your money's worth tomorrow and towards the end of this schedule. I'm sure there will be a proportion of Scott Marsh thinking, I'm safe, I just want tonight to be finished so I can rest my leg.
100.
But there's another portion of his brain, the analytical side, the competitive side, that will be saying, do you know what? I haven't lost yet. I don't want to lose. I want to win all 8 games in this group. And Marsh is having to change equipment. I think his flights have had it. Nice show of sportsmanship there from Scott, just apologising for the delay. Richie will know that that was not a tactic. That's not Scott's style. Got to go 18s. Got to be 18s, Richie. 18s, Richie! All right, just ignore me. He went there eventually. That was such a risky play. Single 20 with that second dart and he can't leave a finish. When will you learn? Tell you what, if he takes the 128 out, I will doff my cap.
Richie require 128.
But I will do so with an asterisk, saying you could have left yourself a bogey number, another 54, or a treble 14. Crucial visit coming up here.
Scott, you require
2-1 down. Richie Burnett could be 3-2 up, but it depends on what this guy does right here. He's not going to get a shot at the bull. So,
58.
Huge opportunity for Burnett.
Richie
3 darts at tops
40.
to break the Marsh throw. Oh, I can feel his pain.
Scott, you require
How
72.
many chances has he missed in this group? And I think he's going to be punished. He is indeed. That's clinical from a very, very confident Scott Marsh and a somewhat merciless attitude. He doesn't want to lose a single match in this group, and he's very close to being in his last match with 14 points in the bag. That will feel like a serrated dagger to the heart of Richie Burnett. But he has to expect that when you miss 3 darts, the way he just did at tops and 10s,
100.
that he will be punished for those misses.
$85.
You can't accuse Richie Burnett of not wanting it, that's for sure.
140.
He puts everything into every effort. And whether you agree or disagree with some of his antics, I bet you can't stop watching him.
140.
I admire the passion. At the age of 54, he still wants it.
$55.
He has a lead of 70 and he needs Marsh to slip. The last thing he needs is a maximum here from Marsh.
100.
That's worked out pretty well for Richie in the end. A 174 would be greeted with glee here.
123.
That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. Could this game go the distance the way that yesterday's did? Not in the same way that yesterday's did. But we do know that Burnett
100.
is going to need to hit this 83.
Richie require 83.
Oh, how he would love to just get rid of it in 2. but he needs the bull.
58.
He now may have to miss.
Scott, you require 76.
Well, he's offered him it. He ushered his hands towards him. 88.
Game.
And
shot,
that is the game
and
to
the
Scott
match.
Marsh, who
Scott
has
Marsh.
still not been defeated in this group. And Burnett is needing a favour right now from Robert Rickwood. He is very close to getting a perfect 16 points from this Group B in Week 2 of Phase 5. He has been a brilliant, brilliant scrapper from start to almost finish, because his lesser average has got the better of Richie Burnett, but that 57% on the doubles and that 104 checkout, that was the key stat from that match. We're going to take a short break now, but when we come back, it is another key match with Rickwood against Fullwell. Richie Burnett, if he's got any chance of qualifying, you feel that Rickwood needs to do him a favour. We'll be back shortly. Fascinating times as we return to Group B action here at the Online Darts Live League for Week 2 of Phase 5. Places are up for grabs, but what we can now confirm to you is that Scott Marsh and James Richardson are now in the finals for Saturday night. They will not be caught by the rest of the field. So it is a 3-horse race for that last available spot.
First leg, it's Robert to throw first. Game on.
But this is a very big match, not just for Nick and for Robert Rickwood, but it's massive for Richie Burnett.
134.
If Richie Burnett is a praying man, he may be on his knees right now saying, please God,
30.
let Robert Rickwood win here. Because what that would do is it would keep Nick Fullwell away from 6 points, and Rickwood
57.
would still be bottom of the table on the same points as them. That's the ideal scenario for Richie now.
140.
But what Fullwell wants is a big, big victory, which is something that Rickwood has had inflicted on him twice already tonight.
140.
He lost 4-0 to Marsh and 4-1 to Richardson. But this is better.
180.
He has not played well tonight, Nick Fullwell. He would admit that. But maybe he's ready to play well. A little bit of adrenaline in the veins can do a great thing to a dart player.
151.
This looks a bit sharper.
91. Robert, you require
You'll have to say advantage
137.
Fullwell. Or is it? Treble 16, double 16 was the effort.
83. Nick
So
requires
Nick has
60.
a very good chance to break the throw here. A great single.
20.
But doesn't punctuate the leg.
Robert, you require 54.
Tops for Rickwood.
Game
And
shot.
he gets only his second
Robert
leg of the
Rickwood.
night. So this one starts with a bit of a bang. Or should I say a bang bang.
Second leg, it's Nick to throw first. Game on.
Experience has told in getting to finals this week.
47.
Because you don't get more experienced at Lakeside than Gary Robson and Martin Adams. Niall Cullerton is a wee nipper compared to those two.
140.
And with Richardson and Marsh, two seasoned veterans of the Live League throughout the course of 2020 and 2021. In the case of Marsh,
58.
they will contest finals again for the umpteenth time.
100.
But the one thing we do know about Rickwood, Fullwell and Burnett is that they have made that before. It won't be a new experience. Now I've just noticed, and I was making a bit of a
55.
pun earlier about this shirt of Nick Fullwell looking like a giraffe. But has he got a giraffe on his pocket?
140.
It looks a somewhat iridescent purple colour. What is Nick Fullwell's affiliation with giraffes? Now,
60.
correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't got a
Robert,
very
you
long neck.
require 121.
After that great first leg,
97.
when Nick Fullwell was on 60 to break the throw, Rickwood has continued his form.
84.
He's looking at doubling his lead.
Robert, you require 24.
Can he?
Game
Yes,
shot
he
on the
can.
second leg.
Doubles
Robert
his lead,
Rickwood.
and Fullwell's in trouble here, because if he does suffer defeat, He has one match remaining a little bit later against James Richardson.
Third leg, it's Robert to throw
And judging by the way he's played tonight, I don't think anybody wants to play against him.
125.
Don't forget that Richardson has 2 matches left. He plays Marsh next in a somewhat dead rubber because they're both through this group already. But Burnett has Rickwood, and then Fullwell gets Richardson last.
125.
I just get the feeling that Rickwood fancies this effort from the bottom to get to third
95.
in the last furlong. Is he having a bit of a sprint finish here? It's entirely plausible that he could be the person
83.
to eliminate both Fullwell and Burnett by beating them both. His solitary win in this group so far came against Nick Fullwell yesterday, where he finished the match with a 149 checkout. I was going to say 159 there.
84.
If he'd have done that, he's very good.
60.
You sense that Robert Rickwood is not going to get through on leg difference
84.
because it's terrible. Double 12 again.
Game shot on the third leg.
And that's a 14 darter from Robert Rickwood. The highlights just keep coming. This is a really good performance from Robert. Not that I'm surprised by it.
Fourth leg, it's Nick to throw first.
Because he has been playing pretty well tonight without any result. Now, he didn't play particularly well against James Richardson, but he was put under so much pressure.
140.
But he did have a 100 average in losing to Scott Marsh. I think it's more a case of people have played their best games against him. Maybe he's about to play his best against somebody else. But that's a magnificent maximum. Just knitted those 3 darts together. They were borderline magnetised.
42.
There is a real look of urgency on the face of
100.
Nick Fullwell. And he knows full well that he is in an urgent position.
76.
I know that Robert really wants to win this by 4 legs to 0.
81.
But sometimes you just got to take a breath and say, do you know what? I'll take 4-1. Single 1. We'll leave double 8.
Left, yeah.
If you're not sure, there is a referee there.
73.
Leaves himself on double 4. Well, Nick, you know for a fact that you can't leave him on 149 for the match.
4.
Well, can he do it
Robert, you
again?
149.
He's not going to do it again. That's why he's
43.
smiling. What were the odds that he was going to be stuck on 149 for the match again? Crazy odds. Well, he hasn't won the leg. It's 3-1 now, and Nick Fullwell has to do exactly what was done to him by Scott Marsh in match 1. He's got to win from 3-0 down.
Fifth leg, it's Robert to throw first. Game on.
Burnett will be watching in the practice room.
96.
Cock a hoop about this. But it is not over until the slightly larger lady starts to bellow.
125. 60.
I think tonight has been fascinating.
100.
Thank you to everybody who is tuning in on Sporty Stuff TV this evening. Thank you for your company as we go past the midnight hour.
93.
If you're watching internationally, we thank you for your company as well. So it's a good morning to everybody around the UK.
82.
Good afternoon to everybody around the world, or indeed a good evening, depending on where you are.
140.
He's going to get a shot at 112 to win. His leg difference right now doesn't make any difference whatsoever.
81. Robert, you require 112.
That's not what's going to get him over the line. But double top, mate.
92.
Ooh, it was close.
Nick, you require 130.
Can Nick go one better on 113? Still possible. But no longer.
41.
Rickwood for his first win
Robert, you require
of the
20.
night and his second win against Fullwell
Game,
in
shots,
this group.
And the match.
He's got the
Robert
measure of the man
Rickwood.
with the giraffe shirt on, that's for sure. And he keeps his hopes alive of coming through this group. Oh, things are getting very tight. Rickwood wins by 4 legs to 1. And he gets to 4 points in the table. But we do have a match coming up. And that, just look at that, 93.47 with 57% on the doubles. Very good from Robert Rickwood and proof that he is a very good player indeed. And he's not out of it yet. But we have a battle of the top 2 in the table coming up in match number 8. It is Marsh against Richardson. Could be very good. That's after the break. Hello all and welcome back to the Online Darts Live League. Paul the Asset Nicholson calling in the last 3 games of Group B. And these 2 players who do duel next are very safe. Couple of bits of narrative for this one though. 1, James Richardson wants to get closer to Marsh. If he wins this game and his last game of the night against Nick Fullwell, he will get within 2 points of him. But if Marsh wins this game...
First leg, it's James to throw first. Game on.
He will have gone through the whole group without defeat. And that doesn't happen very often.
$85.
James will know now that he's safe. And the battle for that last available spot, it will be over the next 2 matches.
45.
And one thing we do know is that if Richie Burnett gets a heavy win against Robert Rickwood next, he's going to be safe before the last match even takes place because of the leg difference. That's the one thing that Burnett has right now in his corner. We'll talk more about that in due course. But right now, you will get a focused performance from Scott Marsh. Because I said in his previous match with Burnett that there was a portion of his brain thinking, you know what? I could get through this group without defeat.
140.
That possibility is very real now. The last time I saw that happen, it was Kevin Burness. That was a few months ago.
140.
Now, James Richardson, of course, can still influence
81.
What happens in this group. But it does depend on what happens in match number 9. Knowing James as I do,
58.
whether it's for a place in Champions Week or a packet of mini cheddars, he'll try and knock your block off on a dartboard.
65.
He's just an ultra-competitive darter. And he loves the fact that he has held on to the Modern Amateur Darts European Championship for some time now, after defending that belt against Robert Thornton recently. That was a very good game, in fact. He was well behind early in the match.
26.
And ended up winning it by a couple of legs.
James, you require 90.
2020 bull or bull tops. That leaves 75. That leaves bull. He fancied
65.
it as well. That's just typical James Richardson. He's a fabulous player to watch because he genuinely doesn't care about what position his opponent was in. I think Scott saw the funny side of that because I have. I think that was cracking. You're on 184, are you? Don't care. I'm going for the bull anyway.
60. James,
You get your money's worth with James Richardson. He is one of the best players to watch out there. Double 12. Superb stuff. That is one of the most entertaining 20 darters I've seen in quite a few years. He made that 25 checkout look so simple.
Second leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
Don't get me wrong, these guys really want to win this match. They want to win every match they play. But when the pressure comes off,
58.
You are entitled to a couple of smiles. But there are no smiles anymore. Back to the game face.
60.
I've had a few dispersions cast my way over the years about
96.
some of the game faces I've pulled, especially when playing against a certain Kim Huybrecht in a certain World Championship, which I've already mentioned tonight. I took out 170 checkout in that last 16 match. Give it large, and what did Kim Huybrecht do with his next visit? He took out 180 start. All I could do was laugh and give him a high five.
100.
That was a genuinely brilliant moment. It's probably the only moment in that game that I actually did enjoy.
121.
If James Richardson had beaten Kim Huybrechts in the previous round, I would have played James in the last 16. And I might have got my revenge
140.
for him beating me in a semi-final in Germany back in 2011 when he made his first Pro Tour final against Colin Osborne,
100.
which is 10 years ago next...
Scott,
well, it's actually this month because it's October,
107.
isn't it? Wow. 3 weeks' time, it'll be 10 years since he made his first Pro Tour final.
83.
Now, how did that happen? October crept up on us
James
really quickly.
120.
Great lie. But pulled it.
80. Scott, you require
Marsh's turn for double 12. This is his last match of the group. He will finish his campaign first.
12.
But he might be going 2-0 down.
James, you require 40.
And I think he is.
Game
I
shot
was
on the
right.
second leg.
17
James
darts is enough to
Richardson.
take that 2-0 lead, but we have seen on a couple of occasions from Scott Marsh that he has brilliant recovery skills. Is he going to
Third
do it
leg,
again?
It's James to throw first. Game on. $85.
Judging by the amount of games that James Richardson has played here this year, it is possible that you could say that James Richardson has
100.
underachieved. Now, that may be me being harsh, but this is his 194th game.
85.
He's got well over 100 wins. His win percentage is above 60%. That's brilliant. His average for the entire year is near 90. He's hit multiple 9-darters, multiple 170 checkouts.
42.
So you might ask, why has he underachieved? He hasn't won a phase. He's constantly knocking on the door of weekly wins.
100.
I just get the feeling that maybe there are lots of boxes to tick by the end of the year.
$140.
Richardson might want to start on 19s on 2-3-1, but he is a bit of a traditionalist. Let's look at what James has done.
85.
Phase 2, he made Champions Week finals, came third. Phase 3 first. He won week 4,
59.
but didn't make the finals in Champions Week.
James, you
As
require
far as phase 4 is
146.
concerned, he did underachieve there. He didn't make finals.
60.
He's trying to make phase 5 his
Scott, you
own.
require 160.
His first job is complete. He is in the finals. But he's got to do it right tomorrow.
60.
What can he do with this 86?
James, you require 86.
Another single. All that for double 7.
79.
Doesn't hang around, does he?
Scott, you require 100.
Two double tops. Oh, that's such a good lie.
60.
Oh, and it bounces too much off the barrel. He can't believe it, neither can I.
James, you require 7.
3. Double 2.
Game
finds
shot
it
the
for a
third
3-0
leg.
lead.
James Richardson.
Is he going to inflict the first defeat on Scott Marsh in this group? It's extremely likely from this position, but it's not impossible
It's Scott
for
to
Marsh to
throw
come
first.
back
Game on.
and find another 2 points. He doesn't get a bonus for an undefeated group.
58.
You're prepared to take the rough with the smooth in darts. It's been very smooth the last couple of nights. And the bits of rough in between have all gone his way. This is bad news for Nick Fullwell. He's the only player tonight who has not registered a win.
60.
And he's still got to play Richardson, who could well get the perfect 8 points tonight. He's very close to 6.
100.
I just can't see a way back here for Scott Marsh. I think his race is run in this group. I think he knows he's done enough. And he's starting to hit the wall a little bit after 2 nights of action. It would be easy for me to say that he's conserving some energy for tomorrow, but that won't be the case. You want to empty the tank at this time of the night. Give everything you've got to finish off on a high. But he may be exerting more energy than usual with that bad left leg.
92.
Still advantage Richardson. And it is against the throw. Merciless.
140.
There have been a lot of games in this group action tonight that have not been close. In fact, we've only had one game go the distance. That was the very first
65.
game.
James, you require 95.
How can Richardson finish this off? 2 doubles? Well, he decided
24.
on 2 double 19s, but the last 2 darts of that visit were a bit scrappy.
Scott, you require 167.
Does Richardson know that he's safe? He's not someone who looks at tables. There have been times in the past where I've approached him at the end of a session
79.
and said, well done, and he said, oh, am I through?
James, you require 71.
Well, James, you are through. But are you winning this one by 4 legs to 0?
63.
That question still hangs in the air. After 2
Scott,
missed darts for the match.
88.
18 for Bull to survive, but he's missed the treble and the single.
56.
All is not lost, Scott,
48.
but you might be losing this match. The only
James,
loss
you require 8.
in this entire group.
Game,
And it is dished
shots,
out by
and
James
the match.
Richardson with
James
a break of throw
Richardson.
in leg 4. A great display from him. He's got one more match remaining against Nick Fullwell in match 10. But let's get a little look at that double 4 to finish things off. Clean, crisp, brilliant. He has been a very good player tonight. He's got 6 points and has a chance for the perfect 8, but only needed a 79 average to do it. Somewhat puzzling, but maybe the adrenaline has been lost because we know that they are both through. The biggest match of this group could be the next one, and it is Robert Rickwood against Richie Burnett. All to play for after the break. Two matches remain in this Group B action for Week 2 of Phase 5 here at the Online Darts Live League. Thank you for your company at this very early hour in the UK, but there are things that need to be settled. Marsh through, Richardson through. He's got a game against Nick Fullwell next. But what we do know right now, because of the leg differences of Burnett, Fullwell and Rickwood, is that if Burnett wins this match by any margin, he will make the finals.
First. Game on.
There are a couple of other permutations though. Burnett, it's simple. Win, you're in.
140.
If Rickwood wins, he needs a favour. And that favour would have to come from James Richardson.
81.
So, to make it simple, Richie Burnett, win, he's through. If Rickwood wins, he then needs James Richardson to beat Nick Fullwell.
60.
And he would be in. But if Rickwood beats Richie Burnett here, and then, of course, Nick Fullwell
100.
beats James Richardson, Nick Fullwell will be in. It sounds complicated, it really isn't. But one thing I can also confirm are the groups for tomorrow night. I'm looking at Group 1 right now and thinking,
100.
That's a bit top heavy. So Group 1 tomorrow night in the finals from 10 PM on Sporty Stuff TV. Martin Adams, James Richardson and Gary Robson. Wow, that tantalises. The other group, Scott Marsh, Niall Cullerton and the person who is yet to qualify.
139.
So let's give this game the full respect it deserves. Who's going to win it? Who's going to get through? Someone could win a game and not get through. And that could be Robert Rickwood because of his leg difference, which is down at -13 currently. Change of tactic. Tops.
42.
Usually he would have gone 20
Robert,
double 16 there.
40.
Double 10. Double 5.
35.
Oh, what a huge opportunity missed.
Richie required 20.
Is Richie using up one of his lives?
Game shot.
Well, he has got a 17 darter, but he has dodged 3 bullets at the start of this match. Rickwood should be 1-0 up with a break of throw. So Richie can breathe with that 1-0 lead for now. I have to doff my cap
96
to Scott Marsh, who really has bossed this group with 14 points. Someone, unbelievably, is going to qualify from this group with 6 points.
140.
14 points and 12 points got Cullerton
45.
and Robson through in Group C. 22 points for Martin Adams in Group A. This is the shortest group of the lot. That I will admit. But getting through with only 3 wins.
180.
And Burnett is starting to hit what he needs to hit, which is plenty of lipstick.
123.
If Burnett does win this, the last game of the night will be about pride.
60.
Oh, for some reason, Richie thought that was a ton. Never question the referee.
100. Richie requires
It's the 3 R's on the hockey right now. Richie, Robert, and the ref. 51. Leaves the bull.
96.
Lots of wire involved there. That was close.
Robert, you require 137.
Even someone of Robert's experience
59.
has decided to go 57 first
Richie
on 137. I like to see
25.
that. But Richie to double his lead on double four.
17.
Oh, right on the wire of both doubles.
Robert, you require 78.
Double 12. It was good to him in his last match. He hit it twice in his previous game. He's just hit it there on a 78 checkout. So that one reels Richie Burnett in somewhat. Great shot.
Third leg, it's Richie to throw first.
Submarine type barrels. Proper old school darts they are. They don't make darts like that anymore. Everything's so streamlined. Made with 90% tungsten or better. These things are probably made of lead. Look at those things. They're like antiques.
100.
Cast my mind back to the 80s when Dave Whitcomb was winning World Masters and getting to World Championship finals against Eric Bristow.
96.
I still marvel at the fact that he did such things with such heavy barrels. Big fat things. What a player he was.
45.
Still kicking around as Dave Whitcomb. He sends the odd tweet our way. And don't be afraid to send us a tweet at Darts Live League. One of the best things about this group this week
125.
has been that smile of Robert Rickwood. He's been a great addition to this week's roster. I've not actually had the chance to speak to him yet. I should make the time to get to know him at some point.
44.
Looks like a very nice guy.
Richie require 140.
He'll take a ton and leave tops here.
$60.
Doesn't get there. Has plenty in the tank. Plenty of room to work with.
$81. Richie require 80.
This is where you just want two single 20s to leave double top, and he completely ignores me. Double 10.
60.
Oh, that one came out a bit sideways. There was a flail on that one. Well, look on the bright side. You'd much rather be sitting on double 10 than double 5.
137.
And my advice to you, Richie, is get rid of this now because Rickwood
Richie required 20.
is closing you down.
Game
Very
shot
well
the
done
third leg.
indeed.
Richie
2-1 to
Burnett.
Burnett, and he's starting to show a bit of passion in the room. I think there was a hint of come on right there. And I don't mind seeing that at this stage.
Fourth leg, it's Robert to throw first. Game on.
Let's face it, it's a knockout tournament right now for Richie Burnett. If he does not win this match, he's going home tomorrow. If he wins it, he's sticking around for at least another day.
26.
And there is money on the line. £375 guaranteed cash. If he does make it through.
60.
£500 if you make it into the semi-finals. £1,000 if you make the final. £2,000 if you win it. And of course,
60.
the top 3 into Champions Week.
$43.
He won't care about the average. He just wants to get the job done.
100.
He hasn't got a get-out clause in the next match. He knows that if he loses this game, he's gone.
60.
That's the thing that goes against Rickwood. Even if he wins this match, he can go out.
170.
Oh, 170 from him. Superb approach.
$59.
Well, he's hit a 170.
Robert, you require 145.
Might be a little bit easier. He's a bit of a thinking man's dart player, as Robert Rickwood. I've been quite impressed with some of his tactics. Got to fill this up.
140.
Almost does. A lot of players might have gone
Robert,
south
you require 104.
on that last dart. But this leg is not over yet. Oh, it's worked out all right, that.
72. Richie require 139.
How good would this be? How good would it have been? Past tense now. But there is no guarantee, of course, that Rickwood is going to take double 16. So just in case, Richie's going to leave
79.
himself on a 2-darter.
Robert, you require 32.
Can he find it? Double 8. What
16.
a huge chance this is now for Burnett. Look at that green arrow.
Richie requires
That signifies
60.
that Rickwood threw first in this leg. This is for a break to give Richie Burnett the chance to serve it out. 10s.
50.
And it misses by quite some distance.
Robert,
Rickwood offered him the olive branch. Not on purpose, of course.
Game shot
But he has found the double 8 with the 3rd dart. And Richie Burnett's pain in that chest of his will have magnified when he heard the call from Charlie of game shot in the 4th leg.
It's Richie to throw first. Game on.
He still has the advantage of throw in this match. But what an opportunity
85.
that was to win that 4th leg and be within 1 leg of a place in Saturday night. You can cut the tension
83.
in this room with a chainsaw. Nice and easy, he says to himself.
140.
But at this stage of a group, there is no such thing as nice and easy for Richie Burnett. He always seems to do it the hard way. When he came through week 2
60.
in phase 4, he had to do it the hard way on Thursday and Friday. He ended up 2nd that whole week and made Champions Week, but he didn't make Champions Week finals. One of these days, Richie Burnett is going to lose his balance.
Richie require 151.
I'm amazed that he hasn't before. I think that's in. That leaves 71.
119.
Oh, that's beautifully done. Rickwood does not get to a finish.
Richie require 32.
So again, to be within 1.
Game shot
And no stress whatsoever. That 13 darter will make him feel so chipper about his chances of making the finals tomorrow. He needs 1 more leg.
6th leg, it's Robert to throw first. Game on.
But Robert needs 2. Do not discount him. Wearing Rob Cross style colours tonight.
43.
With the mint green and black. Richie Burnett is a kind of player who has graduated from the Challenge Tour.
100.
Rob Cross is the chief of doing that because he graduated from the Challenge Tour and went on to win the World Championship a year later. Do you remember who Rob Cross graduated from Challenge Tour with? Ryan Searle. What a player he's turned out to be, winning 2 events in the last 12 months. Well, 18 months. March 2020 and very recently.
100.
Don't worry, I've completely forgotten what month it is. Even what year it is sometimes. Rickwood.
180.
With a first 180 in leg 6. Can he be answered?
81.
Oh, he gives us a single axle on the way to getting the darts out the board.
140.
We are getting all sorts from this game. And I think we're going to go to a one-leg shootout to see whether Richie Burnett has a chance. But look at this. Pressure.
Robert, you require 57.
It could come down to this. Tops to take us all the way. Oh,
37.
the wire was pushed. So Burnett, who has not
Richie
had a match dart yet,
80.
should get 1. He gets 2. To get through to the finals. He pushes the wire. But hits the double as well. And has found his way to the finals once again. And he has the chance, of course, of going through to Champions Week for the 4th time this year. His record is intact so far, but he has done it the hard way. 6 points from this group is enough for Richie Burnett. And boy, do we need to wipe our brow with the sweat that we have exuded over the last few minutes. 92.41 with a checkered percentage of 28. It's good without being spectacular, but good enough is always good enough. We have one more match remaining for the night. James Richardson could finish with a perfect 8 points for the night. He's up against Nick Fullwell, who knows now that he has been eliminated. So stay with us. After the break, we will conclude our action for the evening. welcome to our continued coverage of the Online Darts Live League. Week 2 in Phase 5. Well, the qualifying stages are coming to a close. And this one, you could say is a dead rubber. But as far as James Richardson is concerned, he has one more agenda. And that is to finish Friday night.
First leg, it's Nick to throw first. Game on.
Undefeated. Because of that win for Richie Burnett, Nick Fullwell now knows that he cannot qualify for the finals on Saturday night.
59.
He can equalise the Burnett position of 6 points, but he can't better the leg difference. He's currently 8 legs adrift. And
38.
Burnett has got through by the skin of his teeth once again. So with that information at hand, we can now confirm
48.
both groups for tomorrow night, which will be live on Sporty Stuff TV from 10 PM and internationally via the Online Darts YouTube channel.
60.
Group 1, Martin Adams, James Richardson, Gary Robson, an incredible group. Group 2, Scott Marsh,
46.
Niall Cullerton and Richie Burnett, equally enticing. One thing we know about Richardson is that he's always got something on his mind when it comes to darts. He will remember that he lost 4 legs to 3 to Nick yesterday. How many times does he do this to us? He goes for the big 13 to leave 170. He did this yesterday against Robert Rickwood. He had a big 14 to leave 170. Then he hit it. Well, he's not going to hit this one.
130.
Well, he gets
Nick
the next best prize.
149.
And when Richardson leaves tops after 15,
97.
you somewhat think
James
that it's inevitable
40.
that this is going to be hit. Double 5.
30.
And that is an unexpected chance
52.
for Nick. He goes for tops.
Game
And
shot
does
on the
find
first
tops
leg.
to take the first leg of this
Fullwell.
contest. You may think, now that Nick Fullwell has been eliminated from the possibility of finals this week, that he will feel a bit flat.
Second leg, it's James to throw first.
But he will have
Game on.
one glaring thing at the forefront of his mind. He hasn't won tonight.
140.
He does not want to leave without a win. He does not want to be the only person in this group who has a day without a win.
100.
Because Robert Rickwood won 2 points yesterday and 2 points today. He will be confined to the basement of this table, regardless of what happens. But at least Nick would salvage a little bit of pride if he's able to snag 2 points away from James. But taking that first leg has had an effect on JR 501. It's almost like poking a python with a very big stick.
85.
It's not a good idea.
James, you require 41.
Not that I'm comparing him to a snake.
1.
In fact, I'd compare him to... I don't know, he's like a darting Rottweiler. Rottweilers can be softies, because James is a big softie.
42.
But on the dartboard,
James,
he's a
you
snarler.
require 40.
This should be in. Should be now.
Game shot
And
the
is in
second
now.
leg. James
Well, I don't know
Richardson.
how many guides he needed in the end. Of course, 2 was good enough. But look at those near misses as he gets the super zoom.
Third
And the
leg,
top
it's
bed
Nick
is
to throw
punctuated
first.
to win
Game
leg
on.
2.
$84. 180.
There is our second 180 of this match. Richardson is going to fancy his chances tomorrow.
100.
But he's going to have to come through that awful group. It really is a stacked Group 1.
81.
I will chew the fat with Phil Bars come tomorrow evening before we start the finals to see who we think is going to come through.
78.
We'll chat about the current state of the game. We might talk about the Women's Series and the European Championship coming up.
140.
The World Grand Prix starting in a couple of days. That's going to be fascinating, being double start. I like the fact that my
41.
idea from earlier today was getting a bit of traction about
100.
nominated double start. There were the days.
$29.
Oh, that one's a bit scrappy, a bit messy. All will be forgiven if he takes 71 in 2 or 3 next time.
James, you
Nick
require
Fullwell looking
71.
a bit beaten up. Double top.
51. Nick you require 140.
James not really living up to his nickname so far. But ruthless he could be
100.
if he takes double 10 here
James,
from
you
the middle
require
portion of the
20.
oche.
Game
That's what he
shot on
finds
the
for a
third leg.
2-1
James
lead, and that break of
Richardson.
throw surely sees James Richardson looking at the line at the end of this group stage. He has been brilliant tonight.
Fourth leg, it's James to throw first. Game on. $140. $60. $64.
I was having a little throw in this room myself a bit earlier, just seeing what the oche was like.
100.
Having a throw on one of the older boards that we used earlier in the tournament.
100.
Having a bit of a throw with one of our backroom staff, who is a very handy player himself.
140.
But just to give you an indication of what's happening next week. The World Grand Prix on,
81.
and we are not here. So you will have to do without us for a week. But from the 11th of October, Chris Murphy will be back in the chair for week 3 of
59.
Phase 5.
James, you require 116.
16 for tops. From the angle to get around that
James on the
flight.
fourth leg.
Beautifully done
James
by
Richardson.
James. 3-1 to him. And I think it's only a matter of time before he finishes this session off. Because he's the one with the energy. He's got the higher average,
Fifth leg, it's Nick to
the most
throw
180s.
first.
And he's looking to finish with a King of the Oche performance.
100.
If you don't know what King of the Oche is,
140.
it's winning the match, having the most 180s and the highest checkout. And currently, James is in that position. But we have to emphasise that if you are having a flutter,
180.
it's for over 18s only. Please gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org for more information.
96.
Nick Fullwell gets his first 180 of the match and closes the gap in that statistic. But you feel he's going to need more.
60.
Not that I'm one for puns like Chris Murphy is. But the man with a giraffe on his shirt is going to have to stick his neck out.
Nick require 161.
I'm going to have to get to the bottom of that. He's going to have to get the bottom of the bullseye.
Shot
161 from Nick Fullwell. The best finish we've seen all night long. We've waited hours for it. And that was a belter. I said he had to stick his neck out.
Sixth leg, it's James.
That was like a periscope.
First. Game on. $140.
There is Richardson, GR 501, scurrying around the room,
140.
trying to get this win. He might have some resistance after that magnificent checkout.
140.
But then again, if he plucks in 3 140s and an 81 finish, that may be enough to get it done.
140.
But he's got company. What a game this is turning out to be. Might be better than a 140.
121.
That'll do. It's still 2 dart range. He's playing like he's got a bus to catch. I'll tell you what, James. It's 1:05 in the morning. There are no buses at this time of day. Get a taxi.
James require
Is it a taxi
100.
for Nick Fullwell? Could be. And is 11 darter to finish things off.
Richardson.
That is how you win your 8th point in a session. Great respect from both of those players. Nick Fullwell put up a fantastic fight in the end, but ultimately the best player in this group today, for at least, it was James Richardson. 100 checkout, and of course another great average from him. He's been so consistent, 33% on the checkouts, but 161 checkout from Nick Fullwell. That stopped the king of the hockey performance, but the king of this group, Scott Marsh, with 14 points. Richardson goes through with 12, and Burnett goes through with 6. I have been Paul the Asset Nicholson for Sporty Stuff TV this evening, and of course for the Online Darts YouTube channel internationally. Really enjoyed this group. I hope you can join us tomorrow from 10 PM on Sporty Stuff TV. Once again, we will have the finals with 6 players in 2 groups, and we will find out who will go through to Champions Week at the end of October. I've been Paul the Asset Nicholson. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. See you later.